Om Shakti. Dear Palikarne Shakti subscribers, we are happy to share our thoughts with you through this interesting YouTube video on chastity of water. Roughly around 30 years ago, people in India would have laughed at the idea of buying water as a commodity. Potable water was considered as a perennial abundant resource in most places except for the deserts and occasional famines, which were very rare occurrence. In most villages and towns, people accessed potable waters for their daily necessities in nearby lakes, ponds, wells, etc. The water was unpolluted and was a source of their well-being. Travelers who walked through agricultural fields quenched their thirst from the irrigational canals without fear. With the passage of time, people turned towards materialistic ideals. The town councils and village panchayats decided to lay water pipes and bring drinking water to every doorstep. Deep bore wells were drilled and water was sucked out from public water bodies and stored in common water tanks. Dedicated water connections was given to every home in the village. This kept people away from the public water bodies and they were totally neglected in a short span of time. Slowly and steadily, these deserted areas in the outskirts of the villages turned into landfills and dump yards. Then came the prevalent usage of plastics. These non-biodegradable wastes were also dumped into these water bodies and which choked them completely. People went past these areas without any repentance or sense of accountability. As days passed, the landfills were leveled and converted into sellable plots, which created easy wealth for influential people from that area. This was the actual starting point of the current water scarcity problem, as many lakes and ponds vanished. The abundant rainwater, which was otherwise naturally stored in those reservoirs, were drained out as flood water. Slowly but steadily, the groundwater table depleted. People who were using traditional wells, which were 20 to 30 feet depth, had to further bore down in search of underground water. The public water distribution tanks also went dry during the summer. This forced people to depend on water which was transported through tanker lorries. Slowly, the most abundant resource on earth, that is water, became a sellable commodity. This horrendous situation is a consequence of people's neglect and laziness towards nature's bounty. The bottled drinking water, which is claimed to be enriched with minerals, is not actually energizing as compared to naturally available water. The artificially enriched water bottles is comparable to a dead body adorned with gold ornaments. It is lifeless and is of no use. Our ancient texts, which were handed over to us by enlightened souls based on thousands of years of collective human experience, talk about different types of energy stored in the naturally available drinking water. In this video, we have tried to explain those concepts in layman terms for the benefit of our viewers. The sun and the moon are referred multiple times while explaining the flow of energies in the yogic science. The sun, which is the main source of energy for all living beings on earth, is considered to be electric in nature and is referred to as Shiva. The sun provides warmth and life energy or prana shakti. The moon rays are considered to have a cooling effect and is revered as the bestower of knowledge or jnana shakti. The moon's energy is considered to be magnetic in nature and is referred as shakti. Hence, the sun and the moon together are synonymous to Shiva, Shakti or electromagnetic energies. These concepts should not be shunned as pseudosciences or superstitious, as they have been verified by our ancient yogis or siddhas through hundreds of years of yogic experiences. These concepts are also being slowly integrated into mainstream modern science through experimentations. Now, let us get back to water. More than 70% of our body is made up of water, and hence the energy stored in the water we consume impacts our life energy, our mind, our thoughts and our bodily functions. How can the bottled water, which is deficient in the electrical and magnetic energies of the sun and the moon, provides us the prana shakti and jnana shakti? Few years ago, humans used only surface water which were open to the sky. These water bodies were energized directly from the sun rays during the day and with the moon's rays during the night. The moon's rays during its waxing period, that is, after the new moon day, is considered to have Amrita Shakti or is considered to be ambrosia in nature. While during the waning period, that is after the full moon day, the moon's rays is considered to behave toxic in nature. On the new moon day, its rays are purely toxic, and on the full moon day, its rays are purely ambrosia in nature. While toxic nature of moon's rays restricts the growth on poisonous organism in the water, the ambrosia nature of moon's rays improves the Jnana Shakti in the water. It is for this same reason the many Hindu festivals are celebrated on Paurnami nights, especially outdoors when the Jnana Shakti of the moon is at its fullest. Having said this, we are now confident that now you understand why water which is not exposed to sun and the moon are inadequate in prana and Jnana Shakti and are unsuitable for human consumption. How can one expect to have a sound mental and physical health when the water we drink lacks vital ingredients provided by the Mother Earth? Modern science tries to substantiate this loss through bottled water enriched with artificial minerals, but they can never compensate of what the sun and the moon can provide. Now we understand that our ancestors were not ignorant to have devised outdoor festivals on Paurnami nights. Participating in such festivals nourished us in a very subtle manner which modern science cannot validate or explain. Scientific facts have been proven false many times and have been re-established through new research. For example, many concepts of classical physics, which were the backbone of the Industrial Revolution in Europe, have been proven wrong by quantum physics. We never know, a breakthrough research in the future may disregard what we call today as a modern science too. However, ancient teachings, which is based on many years of cumulative human experience, will always remain valid. Hence, it is wise not to disregard our traditions. We never know what we could lose in the form of subtle vital nourishments which nature has been offering us if such ancient practices are lost. A person who poisons a public water tank is prosecuted under law as immoral and is punished. However, those who pollute life-giving rivers and lakes are looked up as industrialists and socio-economic developers. Is it not an irony? The water which flows in our rivers are revered as pristine devis by our ancient Hindu Dharma. We celebrate them and thank them through our worship and artis. Those who devised these worship methods were realized yogis, whose intention was to ensure that the rivers were protected and revered by humans forever. However, through time, these worship methods turned into more superstitious. That is why we pollute the same river we worship. If humanity forgets to worship water, the results will be flood, famines, and waterborne diseases. Hence, let us unite and worship water, which is one of the Panchabhutas, as a life-giving mother at least once in a year. The 18th day of the month Adi in Tamil calendar, which is called as Ashad Mas in other languages of India, has been celebrated as the Water Day or Adi Perukku by our ancestors. This day falls on the 3rd of August every year on the English calendar except on leap years. Let's follow this legacy of our ancestors and celebrate the Water Day with the following simple worship method. Let us pay our sincere gratitude and devotion to the water source of our home, be it a well or a bore well or a common municipal water tap at the street, by cleaning it. Apply some turmeric and kumkum on it. Shower few flowers or decorate it with a garland. Offer a simple sweet as prasad. Light a simple oil or ghee lamp. With true and sincere devotion, pray to Mother Nature that this water source should nourish our family throughout this year. Water, being one of the 5 elements of the Panchabhuta, has emotions and will accept your gratitude and ensure that you and your family do not suffer due to water scarcity. Our thoughts and emotions, being electromagnetic waves, create a lasting impression on the water we worship. These impressions of true love and devotion by us will be reciprocated by Mother Nature in a nourishing way. Our Siddhas and Rishis used water to purify their body through methods called Kayakalp. Water has immeasurable potentials hidden within it, which modern science has yet to unearth or understand. It is the only known elixir of life on earth. Hence, let us not shy away from worshipping her on the 3rd of August every year. May the holy water in our wells, rivers, and lakes nourish and purify us and our family for generations to come. We take this opportunity to invite you to the Palikarnai Shakti temple located near Chennai. This is the adobe of Mother Divine Adiparashakti. The 18 great saints or Siddhas are consecrated in yogic forms in front of Divine Mother Mandirappavai, who is the protector of the Siddhas. This is a temple that everyone should visit at least once in their lifetime. To know more about our spiritual services, please visit our website www.palikarnaishakti.org. Please subscribe our YouTube channel. This will encourage us to publish more such useful videos. Thank you. Om Shakti.